This channel won't survive without your subscription and likes. Help me. She grabbed the belt of his uniform, giggling, but the guardsman suddenly stepped forward, raising his rifle. Stand back! His voice struck like a thunderclap. The crowd froze, and Karen's face twisted in horror. But what happened next shocked everyone. London, Buckingham Palace. A crowd of tourists had gathered at the gates, where the guards stood motionless in their red uniforms and tall bearskin hats. Among the onlookers, one person stood out, Karen, a hefty American woman in her 40s, with bleached hair tied up in a messy bun and oversized sunglasses. She wore a pink dress that was far too tight, accentuating her figure, and clutched a plastic cup of soda in one hand. "Oh my God, look at this poor guy!" she suddenly shrieked, pointing at the nearest guard. "Are they even real people? Do they ever smile?" The crowd chuckled, and Karen, sensing an opportunity to be the center of attention, took a step closer. "I want to check if he's even alive," she announced. The crowd laughed again. Karen stared into the guard's face, a young man with pale skin, sharp features, and an unwavering, focused gaze. He stood like a statue, unfazed by her antics. Then a ridiculous thought flashed through Karen's mind. What if he's not even real? She turned to the other tourists, who watched her curiously. Maybe there's not even a person under that uniform. She laughed and reached for the guard's belt. The crowd outside Buckingham Palace suddenly fell silent as Karen, smirking, grabbed at the guard's belt. She tugged at it, as if testing whether he was a wax figure or a mannequin. A collective gasp rippled through the onlookers. Phones and cameras shot up. Some people recorded the scene, while others exchanged bewildered glances. "Oh, shit," someone muttered. "That's too much," a woman's worried voice whispered. "Is she insane?" A stifled chuckle escaped from someone, but it quickly died out. And in a split second, everything changed. Up until now, the guardsman had stood as still as stone, but now he moved. With a sudden, forceful step forward, he shoved Karen back with a firm motion. His rifle was clenched tightly in his hands, and in the blink of an eye, the cold steel of his bayonet gleamed inches from her. "Stand back!" His voice, deep and commanding, cracked through the air like thunder. The crowd froze. Karen staggered backward. Her lips trembled, but she quickly forced a nervous smile. Her heart pounded. She hadn't expected this. Oh, she stammered, trying to mask her shock with a laugh. "Take it easy, dude. It was just a joke." The guard didn't move an inch. His posture remained rigid, radiating unwavering authority. He stared straight at her, unblinking. His face was expressionless, but his eyes burned with an icy fire. Karen suddenly felt uneasy. She glanced at the crowd, hoping for support, but the faces around her no longer looked amused. They stared at her with confusion, disapproval, even disgust. "Damn," a young woman murmured, pressing her phone to her lips. "This isn't funny anymore," a tall man in a baseball cap muttered. Karen swallowed hard. Her mouth went dry. "Did he seriously just threaten me?" She suddenly snapped, pointing a finger at the guard. He didn't flinch. Desperate, she turned to a nearby tourist, a young man filming the scene with his camera. "Did you get that on video? That was a threat. I have a right to know." The guy just shrugged, not taking his eyes off his screen. "Looks like you grabbed him first, lady," he said lazily. Karen clenched her jaw. The situation was spiraling out of her control. She had wanted to put on a show, but now she just looked like a complete idiot. Then, a man in a sharp black suit with an earpiece stepped in front of her, one of the security personnel. He positioned himself between Karen and the guard, hands clasped behind his back. "Ma'am, you need to leave the premises immediately," he said in a cold, even tone. Karen's eyes widened. What? Her voice cracked into a shriek. "Me? For what?" But no one laughed. No one backed her up. Only silence. Only cold stares, only cameras, all pointed at her.
What?
Karen screamed so loudly that her voice echoed off the palace walls.
Are you kidding me? He's the one who should leave. He threatened me with a bayonet.
You tried to pull his pants down, the security officer replied coolly. The crowd murmured again. Karen was losing what little support she had left. Her face turned red with rage as she stomped toward the officer.
This is discrimination,
she shrieked, her hair disheveled, her face flushed.
You should be arresting him, not me.
The officer remained impassive. Karen, realizing she was losing, made one last desperate move. She swung her arm and threw her soda straight at the guardsman. The crowd gasped. The sticky liquid dripped down his red uniform, leaving dark stains. The guardsman took a slow, deep breath. His face remained expressionless, but his eyes burned with cold fury. "Move away!" The security officer's voice rang out, and in that instant, 2 other guards grabbed Karen by the arms.
"Let me go!"
she shrieked, flailing her limbs.
"This is assault! I'm the victim here!"
But no one listened. The crowd watched in silence as she was escorted away. Her hotel room felt like a prison cell. Karen sat on the bed, hunched over, her fingers trembling as she clutched her phone. The screen glowed, reflecting in her wide, frantic eyes as she scrolled through an endless stream of mockery, outrage, and sheer hatred. Everything had happened so fast. She barely had time to process how she went from a loud, cheerful tourist to the laughingstock of the entire internet. Karen gritted her teeth and swiped through the headlines, each one hitting like a hammer. American tourist causes scene at Buckingham Palace, gets exactly what she deserves. Woman tries to undress royal guard, watch what happens next. Public humiliation, tourist attacks palace guard and loses miserably. She sucked in a shaky breath.
What?
That's not true, she muttered under her breath, but her voice wavered. She tapped on one of the viral videos. The screen filled with her, disoriented, stunned, her face contorted in shock as the guardsman stepped forward, rifle raised. The crowd frozen. Cameras locked on her. It looked awful. She hesitated before checking the comments. What an embarrassment. Americans take notes, respect other cultures. Did she actually try to pull his pants down? What the hell? I'm dying. How can someone be this dumb? Classic entitled tourist behavior. Deport her immediately. She thought she was being funny, and now the whole internet hates her. Beautiful. Karen felt her chest tighten, her palms growing clammy. Her shaking fingers kept scrolling, deeper and deeper into the nightmare that was now her reality. Her name was everywhere. Her face was a meme. People were posting reaction GIFs of her panicked expression. Shit, she whispered, trying to swallow the lump in her throat. This was the end. She threw her phone onto the bed and curled up, pressing her face into the pillow. She had never felt so utterly humiliated. She had just wanted some attention, a few likes, a bit of excitement. But now the entire world knew her as that dumb American who tried to pull down a Queen's Guard's pants. She would never forget the way they looked at her. Never forget that cold, cutting command. Stand back. No one took her side. No one felt sorry for her.